They called it a ceasefire.
This is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God.
But in Gaza, nothing has ceased. The ceasefire did not stop the explosions. Nothing has stopped, not even the funerals. Not the cries of those who have already lost everything. The President Donald Trump, marking the first phase of a so-called peace plan. It came after 2 years of relentless bloodshed in Gaza. For a brief moment, there was hope that maybe finally the people of Gaza could breathe. The Gazans were seen celebrating on the streets and thanking God for making them survive the brutal 2 years. But as days passed, that hope began to fade, and soon the Palestinians in Gaza realized that there is nothing to feel so happy about. The ceasefire remains technically in place even today. However, the ground reality presents a different picture. Over 100 ceasefire violations have been reported, from airstrikes to aid blockades. In just the few weeks following the ceasefire, 240 Palestinians have been put to brutal deaths in new attacks, including 46 children and more than 20 women. 607 have been injured, and 499 more bodies have been recovered from beneath the ruins of earlier strikes. That's over 1,300 lives directly affected, since the day the world claimed the war had paused. How can this be called a ceasefire when there is so many casualties still happening? Journalists on the ground, like Bisan Oda, describe this moment as a post-extermination phase, a period where strikes fall less frequently, but death still comes quietly. She says Gaza is living through quieter but deadlier detonations.
The Palestinians are in Palestine, in Gaza Strip, in their destroyed homes, and they're not safe.
It's not peace, it's silence between screams. So who exactly is benefiting from this fake ceasefire? The answer will blow your mind. The ceasefire was never to benefit Gazans. Rather, it was to benefit Israel. Think for a moment. Under the new ceasefire terms, parts of Gaza, once beyond the yellow line, have now fallen under direct Israeli control. Each disagreement between Netanyahu's office and the Palestinian resistance doesn't lead to dialogue. It leads to drone strikes on Gazans. Instead of words, airstrikes speak. Even humanitarian aid is weaponized. Between October 14th and 19th, aid trucks were cut by half. The little that enters Gaza is entirely controlled by Netanyahu's government, sometimes delayed, sometimes stopped altogether. Over 10,000 families have been displaced, and in northern Gaza, famine now looms. Even the exchange of hostages, one of the truce's key conditions, is a process that is extremely slow and chaotic, and that has delayed Phase 2, which was meant to bring a complete Israeli withdrawal. Instead, it's brought more uncertainty, more grief, and more broken promises. The ceasefire was supposed to bring peace, but today, Gaza lives under a different kind of war. One that doesn't make global headlines, but continues every single night. Every day, people die. Every day, new names are added to the lists of the lost. Every day, a new home collapses, and every day the world stays silent, satisfied that a ceasefire exists on paper. This truly isn't peace. It's paralysis, a carefully staged illusion that hides the continued oppression of an entire population. This is a truly evil plan of Israel, which doesn't give Palestinians any form of relief, while Israel can enjoy all the benefits. As of November 2025, Gaza's people live in what many call the new normal. A world in which strikes continue even during a ceasefire, aid is withheld as punishment, and survival itself becomes an act of resistance.
The amounts and the quantities are still extremely limited and inconsistent.
The current situation in Gaza is dire. Israel continues to control parts of Gaza where unexploded weapons are scattered and can detonate at any moment. Whenever Israel decides, it orders the IDF to keep striking Gaza, and aid entry is determined solely by Israel. What kind of ceasefire is this? The only ones benefiting from this so-called ceasefire are those who control it, while the people it was meant to protect are still dying under its name. This is not peace. This is Gaza's reality. The ceasefire is not ceasefiring.